My neighbor kept stealing gas from my backyard, so I decided to teach him a lesson. What started as a funny prank turned into police, regret, and a life-changing moment. This is the story of revenge that didn't feel like a win in the end. Before going to forward in the story, please subscribe my channel, like, and share this video. Now come to the story. I moved into the house in late spring. It was one of those quiet streets where everyone smiles, waves, and pretends they are friendly. The backyard was big, perfect for a small garden and a little shed where I kept my tools and lawnmower. My neighbor, Mr. Carter, lived next door. He was a short man in his late 50s, always wearing dirty jeans and a baseball cap. He talked too much and asked too many questions. The first day I met him, he leaned over the fence and said, "You travel a lot? That car of yours looks expensive." That already made me uncomfortable. At first, everything was normal. I would mow the lawn once a week. My mower had a small tank, so a 5-gallon gas can would last me a long time. But after a few weeks, I noticed something strange. Every time I went to mow, the gas can was almost empty. At first, I thought I was just forgetful. Maybe I used more gas than I remembered. Maybe the mower leaked. I even checked the mower for leaks. Nothing. Then it kept happening. I'd fill the can on Monday, and by Thursday it would be nearly empty again. I lived alone. No one else used it. My car had its own gas tank, so I wasn't touching the can for that either. That's when suspicion hit me. I started paying attention to my neighbor. Sometimes I'd see him mowing his lawn for a long time. His mower sounded old and loud, like it drank gas fast. He also had an old car that always looked like it barely ran. One day, I saw him walking near my backyard when he thought I wasn't home. He acted casual, like he was just stretching his legs, but he kept looking at my patio. That was enough for me. Back then, cheap security cameras weren't common. I didn't want to spend a lot of money, so I used my laptop and an old webcam. I set it up near the window and pointed it toward the backyard. I installed some simple motion detection software and tested it. The next day, I pretended to leave for work. I grabbed my keys, walked to my car, and drove around the block. Then I parked where I could still connect to my Wi-Fi. 5 minutes later, my phone pinged. Motion detected. My heart started racing. I opened the live feed. There he was, Mr. Carter, walking into my backyard like he owned the place. He didn't even look nervous. He walked straight to the patio, grabbed my gas can, and walked back to his house. I felt angry and shocked at the same time. This guy was stealing from me in broad daylight, like it was normal. I waited for him to return it. About 20 minutes later, he came back, placed the can exactly where it was, and walked away like nothing happened. That night, I watched the recorded footage again. There was no doubt. He had been doing this for weeks. I thought about confronting him, but I knew how that would go. He would deny it, act offended, maybe even call me crazy, and I didn't want drama with a neighbor. At first, I thought it was over. He got what he deserved. He stole my gas, so he ruined his mower and his car. Fair trade, right? But life is never that simple. The next morning, I woke up to loud banging on my front door. I looked through the peephole. It was Mr. Carter. His face was red, and he looked furious. I didn't open the door. He knocked again, harder this time. "Hey, I know you're home." I stayed quiet. After a few minutes, he gave up and walked back to his house, but I knew this wasn't the end. Over the next few days, he acted strange. He stopped waving, he stopped talking. Every time I went outside, I could feel him watching me from his window. Then weird things started happening. One morning, I found my trash cans knocked over, garbage everywhere. I cleaned it up, thinking maybe it was dogs or raccoons, but then it happened again and again. One night, I heard footsteps in my backyard. I turned on the lights, but no one was there. Still, my gate was open. I started to feel uneasy. I checked my webcam footage. Most nights were quiet, but one night, around 2 a.m., I saw him, Mr. Carter, standing at the fence, staring into my yard. Not stealing anything, just watching. That gave me chills. A few days later, he finally confronted me. I was mowing my lawn when he walked over, pretending to be friendly. "Hey," he said, forcing a smile, "you had some trouble with your gas can recently." I kept mowing. "What trouble?" He scratched his head. "My mower and par both broke down after I borrowed some gas. That gas was bad." I stopped the mower and looked at him. "Borrowed? You mean when you walked into my backyard and took it without asking?" His face changed. He didn't expect me to know. I thought you wouldn't mind. You're never home anyway." "That's stealing," I said calmly. He laughed nervously. "Come on, it's just gas." I stared at him. "Don't ever touch my stuff again." He walked away, but I could tell he was embarrassed and angry at the same time. I thought that would end it. I was wrong. A week later, I noticed scratches on my car. Deep scratches, like someone dragged a key along the side. I had no proof, but I knew who did it. Then my mailbox was smashed. Then my garden light stopped working. I started to feel unsafe in my own home. So I upgraded my setup. I bought real security cameras this time, not cheap ones, good ones. Front yard, backyard, side yard, everything covered. The first night, I caught him on camera again. He walked near my car, looked around, then walked away when he noticed the small red light on the camera. He knew I was watching now. For a few weeks, things stayed quiet. No more trash knocked over, no more damage. Then something bigger happened. One night, I was watching TV when I heard a loud crash outside. I looked at my camera feed. Mr. Carter was in my backyard again. This time, he was trying to break into my shed. He had a crowbar. My heart was pounding. I grabbed my phone and called the police. "Someone is breaking into my property," I said. Within minutes, police cars arrived, lights flashing. Mr. Carter tried to run, but he was too slow. They arrested him in my backyard. The next day, I learned he had a record: small thefts, vandalism, and some unpaid fines. My footage was clear proof. He was charged with trespassing, attempted theft, and vandalism. He stopped being my neighbor soon after. Either he moved out or got kicked out. I never saw him again. Sometimes I think about that gas can and laugh. It was a stupid prank, but it worked. But I also learned something important. People who steal small things don't always stop. Sometimes they get angry when they get caught. Sometimes they get dangerous. I was lucky. I had cameras. I had proof. Now, every time I mow my lawn, I check my gas can, and I smile, knowing no one else will ever touch it again. Instead, I got an idea. A stupid idea at first. Then, the more I thought about it, the more it felt perfect. I decided to teach him a lesson. For the next week, I didn't touch the gas can. Every time I had to go to the bathroom, I walked outside and poured a little into the can. It was gross, it was childish, but I was angry. The smell was still strong. Gasoline smell covered everything. Anyone opening it would think it was normal gas. By the end of the week, the can was full again, full of a very special mixture. Then I made my move. One morning, I acted busy. I loaded bags into my car, checked my engine oil, and talked loudly on the phone about going on a trip. I knew Mr. Carter was watching. He always watched. I waved at him and said, "Going out of town for a few days." He smiled in that fake friendly way and said, "Drive safe." I drove away, parked nearby, and waited. Sure enough, about 10 minutes later, my motion alert went off. He came into my backyard again. Same routine, same confidence. He grabbed the gas can and walked away to his house. I waited an hour and drove back home. When I pulled into the driveway, I saw him in his front yard. He was yanking the rope on his mower like a maniac, sweat pouring down his face, cursing loudly. The mower wouldn't start. Then he stormed into his garage, came out, and jumped into his old car. A few minutes later, I heard it sputter and die a couple blocks away. I checked my patio. The gas can was empty. I smiled. After Mr. Carter was arrested, I thought everything was finally over. No more strange noises at night, no more feeling watched, no more worrying about my stuff disappearing. For a while, the house felt peaceful again. But then something unexpected happened. One afternoon, a woman knocked on my door. She looked tired, maybe in her early 40s, with messy hair and dark circles under her eyes. "Hi," she said softly. "I'm Lisa. I'm Carter's sister." That name made my stomach tighten. "I heard what happened," she continued. "I just wanted to talk." I hesitated, but I opened the door a little wider. She sighed and looked down. "He told me you set him up, that you poisoned his gas." I crossed my arms. "He was stealing from me for weeks." She nodded slowly. "Yeah, he has that problem. He always takes things that aren't his. He thinks the world owes him." She looked embarrassed, like she had said those words 100 times before. "He's not a bad person, just messed up." I didn't know what to say. Part of me felt angry, but part of me felt sorry for him. "He lost his job last year," she said. "Lost his wife, started drinking. He thinks everyone is against him." "That doesn't give him the right to steal," I said. "I know," she replied quietly. "I just wanted you to hear it from someone else. He's facing charges now, might lose the house." She looked around my porch. "I guess he finally went too far." After she left, I sat on my couch thinking about everything. I had wanted revenge. I had wanted to teach him a lesson. I succeeded, but now it felt heavier. A few days later, I checked my cameras out of habit. His house looked empty. The lights were off. His car was gone. A for sale sign appeared in the yard. He was gone. I should have felt relieved, but instead I felt strange, like something unfinished. Weeks passed. New neighbors moved in, a young couple with a baby. They were friendly and quiet. The street started to feel normal again. One night, I was watching TV when I got a notification on my phone. Motion detected. Backyard. I paused the show and opened the camera feed. At first, I saw nothing, just the fence and the dark yard. Then a shadow moved near the gate. My heart started racing. The gate slowly opened. A man stepped inside. It wasn't Mr. Carter. This guy was taller, younger, wearing a hoodie. He walked straight to my shed and tried the door. I grabbed my phone and called the police again. While waiting, I watched the screen. He looked nervously around, like he had done this before. He tried the window, then the door again. Police arrived fast. He ran, but they caught him. Later, the officer told me something that surprised me. He said he knew the old owner, the officer said, your previous neighbor, Mr. Carter. Apparently, Carter had told someone about my shed, my tools, and my habits. He had complained about me to people he knew, and one of those people thought my house was an easy target. That night, I realized something scary. One bad neighbor can bring more trouble even after they're gone. After that, I became more careful. I locked everything, I added more lights, I talked to my new neighbors and warned them. Life slowly went back to normal again. But sometimes when I smell gasoline, I remember that week. The gas can, the plan, the way revenge felt good at first, then heavier later. I learned that small problems can grow into big ones if you don't handle them carefully. And I learned that even a simple prank can change someone's life forever. After the second break-in attempt, I stopped thinking of my house as a safe place. I started thinking of it like something I had to defend. I added more cameras, brighter lights, and even an alarm system. My phone was always in my hand, even at night. Every small sound made me tense. The new neighbors tried to be friendly. The husband's name was Mark and his wife was Jenna. They had a baby girl who was always laughing in the yard. One evening, Mark came over while I was fixing my fence. "Hey," he said, "you seem really serious about security." I forced a smile. "You have no idea." He laughed, thinking I was joking. "This neighborhood is quiet. Nothing ever happens here." I wanted to tell him everything about Carter, about the gas, about the break-in, but I didn't want to scare him. So I just said, "Yeah, I hope it stays that way." A month later, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Mr. Carter. My hand shook when I opened it. He wrote that he was staying with his sister in another city. He said he was angry at first, blamed me for everything, but later realized he had done wrong. He apologized for stealing and for damaging my property. But then his tone changed. He wrote, "What you did to me was cruel, that you humiliated me, that everyone in the neighborhood knew I was a thief, that I lost my house because of the charges and the stress." He said, "You won, but I lost everything." I read that line again and again. I didn't reply, but his words stayed in my head. One night, I had a dream about him. In the dream, he was standing in my backyard, holding the gas can, looking at me with a sad face instead of an angry one. I woke up sweating. That's when I realized something scary. I didn't feel proud anymore. I felt guilty. A few weeks later, something strange happened again. I came home from work and saw Mark and Jenna talking to a police officer in front of their house. The baby was inside, crying. I walked over. "Everything okay?" Mark looked nervous. "Someone tried to open our back gate last night. The camera caught a man walking around." The officer nodded. "We're checking the area, probably just someone passing through." But I knew better. This street had been quiet before Carter. After him, it felt like something had changed. That night, I sat in my living room, lights off, watching all my camera feeds on my laptop. The yard was empty. The street was quiet. Then I saw a familiar shape, a man standing across the street looking at my house. He looked older, tired, thinner. It was Mr. Carter. My heart stopped. He wasn't supposed to be here. He just stood there for a long time staring at my house. Then he slowly walked away. I checked the footage again to make sure I wasn't imagining it. It was him. The next day, I asked Mark if he saw anyone strange. He shrugged. "Just some guy walking around last night, probably lost." But I knew he wasn't lost. He came back. I didn't sleep well that night, and I started wondering if this whole thing was really over or if it was just beginning. After I saw Mr. Carter across the street, I felt like I was living in a movie. I kept checking my cameras every hour. Every shadow looked suspicious. Every sound made my heart jump. For a few days, nothing happened. No strange footsteps, no alerts, no Carter. I started thinking maybe I imagined it. Then, late one night, my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Backyard. I sat up in bed and opened the camera app. The backyard light turned on, and I saw someone standing near my shed. It was him, Mr. Carter. He looked different, thinner. His clothes were dirty. His eyes looked tired and angry at the same time. He walked slowly, touching the fence, the patio, the spot where the gas can used to sit. It was like he was reliving everything. Then he walked to the shed and tried the door. It was locked. He pulled on it harder. Then he sat on the ground, his back against the wall, and just stared at the ground. He wasn't stealing this time. He looked broken. I didn't know what to do. I could call the police again, but something stopped me. He wasn't breaking anything. He wasn't carrying tools. He wasn't acting like a criminal. He looked like a man who had lost everything. I opened the back door a little and stepped outside. My heart was pounding. "Carter," I said quietly. He jumped and looked up. "You?" We stared at each other for a few seconds. "I'm not here to steal," he said quickly. "I just wanted to see the place again." "Why?" I asked. He laughed bitterly. "Because this is where everything went wrong." I stayed quiet. He looked around the yard. "I know I messed up. I shouldn't have taken your gas. I shouldn't have touched your stuff. But you didn't have to do that to me." "You were stealing," I said. "I know, but you turned me into a joke. My mower, my car, everyone laughed. The police came, my sister kicked me out, I lost the house." He looked at me with watery eyes. "You went home and laughed. I went home and lost my life." That hurt to hear. "I didn't want it to go that far," I said honestly. "But it did," he replied. We stood in silence. Finally, he stood up slowly. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just wanted to tell you how it felt." He walked to the gate and paused. "You won. Just remember that sometimes winning feels different later." Then he left. I didn't sleep at all that night. I kept thinking about his words. I had wanted revenge. I had wanted justice, but I never thought about what would happen after. The next morning, I checked the cameras again. He hadn't come back. No more alerts. A week passed, then another. Then I heard from his sister again. She messaged me online. She said he had checked into a rehab program. He was trying to fix his life. She said he kept talking about me, about the gas can, about how one small mistake destroyed everything. She didn't blame me, but I blamed myself a little. Life slowly returned to normal. Mark and Jenna relaxed again. The baby played in the yard. The trees grew taller, the grass kept growing, and life kept moving forward like nothing big had happened. But for me, things felt different. Every time I filled my gas can, I remembered everything. The suspicion, the camera, the prank, the police, the letter. Carter standing in my backyard looking broken. Sometimes I wondered what would have happened if I had just talked to him in the beginning. Maybe he would have laughed it off. Maybe he would have stopped. Or maybe nothing would have changed. I'll never know. One day, almost a year later, I got another message from his sister. She messaged me online. She said Carter was doing better. He finished rehab, found a small job, and was living in a shared apartment. She said he kept talking about me, about the gas can, about how one small mistake destroyed everything. She didn't blame me, but I blamed myself a little. A few weeks later, I saw a familiar face again. I was at a gas station, filling my car. A man was at the next pump, looking older, calmer, and cleaner than before. It was Carter. He saw me, too. For a moment, we just stood there, not knowing what to say. Then he walked over. "Hey," he said quietly. "Hey," I replied. He nodded toward the pump. "Funny, right? Gas again." I gave a small smile. "I'm not here to argue," he said quietly. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for stealing, for acting crazy, for everything." "I'm sorry too," I said. He looked surprised. "For what?" "For taking it that far. I could have handled it better." He thought for a moment, then shrugged. "Maybe, but I probably wouldn't have changed without it. Sometimes you need a hard slap from life." We both laughed a little. He stuck out his hand. I shook it. "Take care," he said. "You too." Then he left. That night, I sat in my backyard looking at the spot where the gas can used to sit. I realized something important. Revenge feels powerful in the moment. It feels smart and satisfying, but it always leaves a mark on the other person and you. If someone steals from you, protect yourself. Use cameras, lock your things, call the police if needed. But don't let anger turn you into someone you don't want to be. Because in the end, everyone carries their own story, their own problems, and their own pain. And sometimes the biggest lesson is not how to get revenge, but how to let it go.